What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Silent Savages. Today we have Josh Wincey up in Canada. He has been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 14 years, completely freaking jacked, and is dealing with type 1 diabetes, but does not let him stop him at all. So here we are. What's up, Josh?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for being on here. So we were talking before the podcast that you have type 1 diabetes. A lot of people don't even know what that is. I'll be honest. I know the difference between 1 and 2, but I actually don't know what 1 does to you. I know 2 is self-inflicted. 1 is just you're born with it. You have it. Correct?
Almost.
Almost? Okay.
Yeah, we can clean that up a little bit.
All right. Educate me.
So I'll try to keep it short because I'm a big diabetes geek, just like I am with everything that I'm into. And it's not that I'm like particularly into diabetes. It's just it was forced on me. Yeah. If I want to live properly, well, I fucking kind of have to be, right? I owe that to myself. So first of all, I became type 1 diabetic when I was 27, and I was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So it's commonly thought that type 1, which AKA juvenile diabetes, it's a bit of an outdated term, but I'm sure you've heard that thrown around at some point in your life. So juvenile diabetes is type 1 diabetes, and it was called that because it was thought to be diagnosed in young children, the vast majority of the time, either born with it or in like the first few years of childhood type of thing. And it does happen quite a bit for type 1 diabetics in childhood. Okay. But it has nothing to do with age, and it can happen at any point in your life. Okay. And that's medically recognized now, although colloquially most people don't know that, right? They think, oh, you develop diabetes as an adult, it must be type 2, it must be my grandma's diabetes. Well, right. No, not necessarily, right? Okay. So type 2 diabetes, yes, can be self-inflicted. And I want to be a little bit careful with that too, because there's huge genetic factors to it, right? It's, for average normal person that's not genetically predisposed, eating a bunch of sugar and shit like that isn't going to give you diabetes, okay. Right? Like these jokes we hear about, they're not really real, Okay. However, if you have certain genetic factors and you're carrying around excess body fat, you live like a sedentary lifestyle, maybe you eat a lot of sugar. It's not the sugar, but it's the fact that you are combined with essentially being unhealthy, right? Having a poor lean body mass, not exercising a lot and getting those benefits, and then eating a lot of carbohydrates, we'll say, because it's not just sugar, it could be any carbohydrates, okay, that cause your body to produce mass amounts of insulin a lot. Then all these factors combined, you start developing what's called insulin resistance. And that's generally what type 2 is an insulin resistance. So somebody who is a type 2 diabetic, well, their pancreas still works. Their pancreas will still make and secrete insulin for them as they eat and as sugar accumulates in their blood. But they either don't produce enough to actually clear the amount of glucose that's in the blood, okay, or they produce enough, quote unquote, insulin, but their body has developed a resistance to their own insulin. So the consequence is, well, their sugar levels remain elevated, and then that wreaks havoc on the body over time. So a type 2 diabetic usually can take oral medications that help with their insulin sensitivity. And generally, the doctor's going to say, lose some weight, cut down on the processed carbohydrates, eat more vegetables and protein, and go fucking walk your ass around the block a couple times a day. And usually, type 2 diabetic can pretty much manage their condition mostly with lifestyle, okay, adjustments, okay? I still want to be very careful if there's any type 2 diabetics listening, or anybody who has Family members or anything like that. That's certainly not the whole picture. Right. But you can nutshell it kind of like that. Whereas with type 1, regardless of when you're afflicted by it, it's an autoimmune disease. So something causes the immune system. It's usually when it's fighting off another infection or something. Nobody really knows the trigger, and it can be different for everybody. But some environmental trigger, again, combined with genetic predisposition, triggers the immune system to make a horrible mistake and think that the beta cells in the pancreas that produce insulin are foreign bodies, and then the immune system destroys all of them.
Mm.
And then that's it. Otherwise, nothing else is going on. Physiologically, everything functions properly. I just no longer make any insulin because my immune system killed my ability to do that.
Gotcha.
So that means that unlike a type 2 diabetic, you know, I could exercise, I could eat 0 carb all the time, but I would still have to take exogenous insulin to stay alive.
Okay.
And that's the major difference between the two. One's autoimmune, no insulin being produced whatsoever. The other one is largely lifestyle. There is still insulin being produced. It just doesn't function properly yet.
Just not enough. Okay. That makes sense. I think that was the best description I ever heard, because I know people have told me about it before, but I think that was the best description I've ever heard. So when it comes down to that, what is your diet like then? What can you eat, or I'm assuming you're only allowed to eat certain things, or you should stay away from other things.
Not even really. I mean, generally speaking, right? Like, people in general should stay away from certain
for sure
dietary things, and you know, the whole moderation is key kind of philosophy applies to everybody, right? So the way that you would think about a type 1 diabetic like myself is I can eat absolutely anything I want. It's just the same as you can, right? It's just a matter of being intelligent about it. And that's the difference, is because you can go smash a bunch of donuts right now, and it's gonna put your blood glucose up, not nearly as high as mine would, because your body will regulate it instantaneously.
Right.
But your pancreas will literally know exactly how much insulin to secrete based on how much glucose is in your blood. It'll do it instantly, and that insulin functions immediately. So it'll unlock all the cells in your body. The glucose will go from your blood into your body, and that's how you absorb food energy and stay alive from eating food, right? For me, I could eat the exact same donuts, and maybe there's 150 grams of carbs in there. So for me, I have to know, and this is largely just because I live it 24/7, you know, and I pay attention to shit. A lot of type 1 diabetics don't, and most type 1 diabetics have relatively poor health, which is unfortunate. But I can eat those donuts. I just have to know how much insulin I need to inject for it.
Gotcha.
So it's like on any given day, I'll say, well, you know, 1 unit of insulin out of my needle should cover me for about 15 grams of carbohydrates.
Okay.
It's an estimate, and that can be affected by like the temperature, the ambient temperature, my body temperature, my mood, stress hormones, time of day, exercise, and all that stuff. But assuming that I dose my insulin correctly, those donuts won't have any negative impact on me, and I'll metabolize it the same as you would.
Gotcha.
The thing is I have to make decisions like that every single time I eat, ever.
Right.
And it's always an estimate. Do I really know that 1 unit for 15 grams is exact? No, I don't. When I look at a plate of food, how the fuck do I really know that it's 80 grams of carbs on the plate? I don't know. I've just gotten pretty good over time at looking at things and going, well, based on my experience, that's probably about this much carbs, which means I need about this much insulin. But there's 2 very big variables of unknowns there, uncertainties. So then it's like, okay, well, if I didn't take enough insulin, I'm going to know, because a couple hours after my meal, my blood sugar levels are still going to be elevated to a dangerous degree, which means now I need to take a correction dose and inject more insulin to try to bring it down. Or maybe I overdosed my insulin for my meal, and now my blood glucose crashed because I took too much sugar out of my blood, and now I need to go eat more sugar to try to bring it back up. But then both of those treatment protocols are also estimates. How much sugar do I really need to eat? Well, I don't fucking know. Just hopefully not too much, because then you're on a roller coaster of now I need to take more needles. Fuck, now I need to eat more Skittles.
Right.
And that can go on for. So it's a pain in the fucking ass for sure. Like, it's not fun to live with by any means. But you do what you got to do if you want to. You know, you can't control the deck that the universe deals you.
Right.
All kinds of people have really shitty hands in life. You just got to do what you got to do. You know.
Right. Just play that hand the best you can. Yeah, that's crazy. That's I mean, you would probably stick to a pretty steady diet to make that easier on you, I would assume.
I do. I mean, I would surprise a lot of people. It's like I have a sweet tooth. who doesn't like carbs? Who doesn't like sugar and
Right.
shit? You know what I mean? So yeah. However, like long before I was diabetic, because I got involved in strength training as a teenager, and then jiu-jitsu and competitive jiu-jitsu as like a late teen all through my 20s. So luckily, when I still had a perfectly functioning body and organs, I had largely viewed food as a fuel source, rather than purely for like the hedonistic value of it, right? Like that's still there, obviously, and I'll still slam. Also, I'll open a bag of Sour Patch Kids and be like, is this worth it? Yeah, it's fucking worth it. I'll just jack a bunch of insulin, eat these, and fucking see what happens. Like, should I do that all the time? And do I do that all the time? No. But I mean, if you saw what I eat on a daily basis versus like a non-diabetic who's into the same things that I am and takes their health seriously and trains and stuff, it's probably not that much different.
Okay. That's fair. That's nice though. I mean, so how long have you been diabetic?
Been diabetic for it'll be 8 years this December.
Okay. Damn, that's a while. So you kind of got a little bit of it figured out. I know it's just a guessing game, even though you've been doing it for 8 years. But so you said that your hormones are affected in that and your mood and all that stuff. How does your workouts affect that?
Yeah, so it's a huge thing. So working out, so everybody's different, right? And the thing with type 1 diabetes, and that makes it really hard to control, is that even the doctors and the endocrinologists, not to, like, I'm all for Western medical science, by the way, but they only know so much because they're only going off of textbooks.
Right.
They're not living with the disease, and everybody who lives with it, it affects them entirely differently.
Right.
Like I mentioned, my carb to insulin ratio, that just happens to be about what mine is based on trial and error. But there's people who might need a unit for every 4 grams of carbs. There's some people who might need a unit for 35.
Okay.
And all these other things, right? So it's like doctors may tell you, well, this is kind of how you should treat yourself. This is how you should approach your insulin. But if you don't really introspect and like do some serious experiments on yourself over time, you're not going to achieve your peak health, and you're going to have some problems, right? So for me, getting ready for a workout, it's pretty nerve-wracking, to be honest, because generally speaking, exercise will serve to lower your blood glucose, meaning increase your insulin sensitivity.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's generally true of like low intensity, steady state exercise, more so than intense short burst exercise. So like jogging, walking, longer duration stuff that would tax more like the oxidative energy systems, as opposed to like sprinting, heavy lifts, rolling hard, right? So that type of stuff, because of the intensity and the output and the I guess even just the psychological and neurological effects that come with that stuff. Well, I'm sure you felt when you're having a really intense roll on the mats, whether you're actually a little bit fired up inside or not, or it's just fucking really intense, you get some adrenaline going, and it's not because you're actually angry or you want to hurt people or whatever. Maybe you're just a little bit nervous because this guy's really fucking good and you don't want to get tepid or whatever it might be. Competitions, that stuff goes through the roof, at least for me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Those nerves and stuff, right? So those type of stress hormones, adrenaline, epinephrine, cortisol, will directly interfere with insulin's ability to function properly in the body.
Okay.
And that even applies to you as a non-diabetic, but your body will then compensate by producing more insulin and regulating itself and achieving homeostasis, where I'm kind of always in a state of hormonal disarray and trying to do my best to like artificially balance it out, through the day.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people will say, oh, my pre-workout routine is I'll eat a banana 30 minutes before I work out, or I like to eat this type of meal. Well, for me, if I'm going to eat anything with carbs in it, that means I have to inject myself with insulin.
Right.
And that insulin is going to be on board and functioning in my body for like 4 hours. After about an hour to two, it's going to be at peak strength. And what's that going to mean when I then go start exercising? Because as I start moving my body and my body temperature goes up and I'm more in like a lower intensity state, then my insulin sensitivity is going to increase. But I've already taken my insulin.
Right.
So the insulin that's already working is now going to become twice as powerful as it should have been based on how I dosed it, which leads to really bad things because now sugar is going to plummet out of my blood and I'm going to get dizzy and weak. But then on the other hand, I start, lifting really hard and all this stuff, and my sugars might go up because of the intensity and some of the adrenaline. Your body also tends to release some stored glucose called glucagon. It's just like a emergency reserve of glucose. So it's kind of like, when you hit like a fight or flight and you get that, adrenaline, and it's that natural, like you either need to fucking bolt from the predator or you need to fight for your life. The adrenaline helps you with that because it narrows your focus, right? It closes your brain to almost anything but that threat.
Right.
It makes you stronger. It mutes pain. It also directs blood flow to your major muscle groups that you're going to need in a fight or flight situation. And it will release what's called glucagon, which is glucose reserves held largely in your liver, back into your bloodstream. Because normally it's saying, wow, you need to fight this fucking lion, or you need to run from this lion. You need blood in all your major muscles. You need crazy fucking focus. You need some extra, almost like a shot of fucking steroids. You know what I mean? For a second.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're going to give you some extra energy stores. We're going to put some sugar into your blood so that you can fucking fuel this right now. That's the worst thing that could happen for me, because those stress hormones mean that insulin's not going to work. So even if I inject it, it's probably not going to do fucking anything. And then what do I do? And the release of glucagon is then physically putting more sugar into my blood that's already going up because my insulin's not working, and I can't really take more insulin to get it out because I'm in that kind of loop. So, and I never really know what's going to happen in a workout, because again, depending on like what time of day, how much sleep I've had, all kinds of other things affect this stuff too. So I prefer to lift fasted if at all possible, and I almost never get to, just on the way my day-to-day routine goes. So I'll probably lift, to be honest, once we finish up or shortly after we get off of here. I've eaten kind of a shitty breakfast, to be honest. I just needed some calories this morning, but that will give me, like, for sure, a couple hours since I've taken insulin. So it's like when I check my blood sugar levels going into my workout, I can trust relatively closely that whatever's going to happen to them will simply be a result of the exercise that I'm doing.
Okay.
And not a result of the food that I ate or the insulin that's still on board or any of that stuff. So yeah, dude, it's like, it's not an easy answer. It's like, it's super complex. And it's, the thing is too, is like, it's just always you feel like you're always doing this crazy, like, calculus algebraic equation on your body.
And there's no right answer.
But with no right answer. Like, you don't really know what the answer is. You just kind of like, oh, fucking, it's probably about kind of like this. And then you just hope for the best, right? And it's like, as diabetics, we say, like, you just can't fucking make heads or tails of it sometimes. Sometimes you do everything right.
Yes, cool. Sorry.
It's my life, man.
Kids are home today. We're going out of state today. The wife's at work. So I took off of work today to be home with the kids, and I was like, man, I could get some podcasts done. So
go watch Blippi for a little bit, and I'll be there in a minute. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a 4-year-old little girl, and yeah, I get it, man.
Just one?
I do a lot of just one, yeah.
Nice.
Just one for us, probably gonna stay that way at this point, but I guess you never really know, because if you would have talked to me 5 years ago, I would have said we're not gonna have any. So we'll see,
We said that we have 3 boys.
Oh, nice.
And,
okay.
We said we're done after 3, and that's not true, because we're expecting in June.
Ooh, congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you. So Yeah, it's going to be a madhouse here in a little bit.
Well, it
So,
already is, let's be fair, right? It'll just be ridiculous.
yes, yeah, but now it's always double man coverage for the rest of our life. So
That's true. As long as you can keep that split, then you guys should be good. You
yeah,
need teamwork for sure.
yeah, for sure. But it is nice. Our oldest is 8. He'll be turning 9 in a couple months.
Oh, cool.
He does jujitsu with me as well.
Wicked. That's
So,
awesome.
and then my middle, he's 6. I want him to be in jujitsu just because he knows his body so well. He knows how to move it. Like you show him how to do something and he can just do it. It's just the way his brain works. He knows his body, but he wants nothing to do with it. He just started wrestling this year and he's freaking killing it. It's insane.
You know what though, man? That might actually be better at this age.
Yeah.
You know, like thinking back, it's like fuck. You know, just seeing like the raw work ethic that wrestlers have,
Oh,
and
for sure.
how grinding they are and stuff like that. And it's like, man, if you could instill that from a really early age, that like that's how you train on the mats, that's the intent that you bring to your training sessions, have the base that wrestling gives you, and then transitioning to jujitsu like as a teenager, that's probably the best, to be honest, I think.
Yeah, and like we were talking before we started recording, that 15-year-old who sold me on jujitsu, I mean, he was a wrestler for like 6 years, so I definitely helped him, but he still kicked my ass. I'm not gonna lie, it just really sucked. Kind of hurts that ego we were talking about.
Yeah, but, you're getting better. He's getting better along with you, right? He started ahead of you.
But no, he's doing good. He's doing awesome wrestling, and I agree with you. The base that wrestling can give you is just insane. Like their work ethic. When we first took him there, they were like, yeah, class is going to be like an hour. It's just a wrestling club and it's going to be an hour long. And then the last 15 minutes we play like dodgeball, you know, to keep them interested and want them to come back. We're like, okay, cool. And then like their first water break on their first training session, they're like, well, if you guys don't mind, we're actually going to keep them for an hour and a half and maybe get the dodgeball in. And I was like, okay, an hour and a half is kind of long. Like, I don't think it's long, but for a 6-year-old, that's a long time to keep their focus. And from there on out, it's been an hour and a half, and he's just crushing it.
Dude, that's awesome. Sounds like he's in the right spot then. That's good.
Yeah. We fortunately, and I didn't know this until this year, where we live, we have like the wrestling capital of Wisconsin.
Nice.
So somehow we just breed crazy good wrestlers. Didn't know anything about that till this year. I'm not going to go into the details because I'm just learning about it. So, but after looking a little bit into it, we've had some like crazy good wrestlers come out of Wisconsin. So
right on. Okay.
I guess our training's really good. It's news to me, but I'll take
it.
it.
Take it. Yeah.
If he wants to do it, he can do it. So the 4-year-old's next. They're working on starting a little ninjas class at our jiu-jitsu gym. So
yeah.
He's got to get on the mat somewhere. I don't care where it is. And then we're having our 4th. So if it's a girl, I feel really bad for anybody that wants to date her.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not going to be my concern anymore because she's going to have 3 older brothers.
Yeah.
And if it's a boy, well, our house is going to be nothing but chaos like it already is.
So, you know, you're used to that.
Tap outs. I'm okay with that.
I hope it's a girl for you, just for the switch up, and you can join the girl dad club because it's fucking fun, man.
I know it's fun, but I really just want another boy. I mean, my wife wants another boy. We got the boy.
Does she? Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. She never wanted girls. Her thing was.
Well, see, the thing is, because like women lived through being one.
That's
right. And as teenage
what you said is what she told me.
Yeah, they know how they treated their parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how I treated my parents. I was just never home. I was always working or skate park or snowboarding. You know, I was gone. So I know I treated my parents, and if they treat me like that, kind of sucks for a couple of years because they want nothing to do with you. And then after that phase is over, they're back wanting to do stuff with you.
Oh yeah, but that teenage girl angst is different, right? That hits differently, and then they're coming for blood. They come right for your jugular and stuff. I'm well aware of what's coming. I'm just enjoying my cute little princess while I can. Did I
Yeah,
just get cut off there for a second? Sorry, I just had a
you
weird thing
did.
pop
That's all
up.
right. It's all good. Um, so anyways, I don't know where we got off onto that when he came in. So anyways, regulating your training and when you should eat, shouldn't eat, and all that stuff. So your
Yeah,
training, that was the other thing I was fascinated when I saw you is it's very not your typical workouts, which I
it's not.
just
No,
started getting into myself. Bought a couple kettlebells and
wicked.
I'm sold. It's like the best way to work out, I think now. It's
100%. And I mean, there's no bad strength training
no,
if you're moving your body properly, you're not getting injured.
right,
There's no bad exercise. It's all good for you.
for sure.
There's better and worse ways, and more efficient and inefficient ways to accomplish a goal or pursue a goal for sure. But I would never say to somebody, like, I get asked all the time, like, do you do barbell work too? Like, I don't. And it's not because I think it's fucking a waste of time or I think it's stupid. I mean, dude, it's a fucking barbell. If you want to get big and strong maximally, that's
Right.
going to be your shortest path for sure.
For sure. For sure.
That isn't the full intention of why I started lifting and working out and stuff the way that I do. I also don't have an Olympic bar here with all my other stuff, and I don't really like going to commercial gyms and what for the time spend, the crowd, and it's not really my thing.
No,
Um, and I don't feel like I need it. But that's not to say if my wife came home from work and was like, "Oh, hey, like I bought you a fucking rack and an Olympic bar and some plates, and like they're gonna arrive next week," like I'd be psyched and I would use it.
for sure.
I don't feel like I need it or I'm missing anything.
Yeah, I agree. So I've been doing kettlebells for I don't know, roughly a year, maybe not
Yeah,
quite a year. I'd say 9 months. And I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I mean, you can do everything you need to do with like 35 pounds. So
yeah, for sure.
you're totally, I finally moved up to the 53-pound kettlebell. So I'm like super proud of that. But
Yeah,
that's in your head, you're thinking 53 pounds. It's like, man, that's not a lot of weight until you go to do some of these movements and you're like, this is a lot of weight.
yeah, and it's like people pick it up for the first time and you don't realize too, like a dumbbell compared to a kettlebell, um, equally weighted, the kettlebell just feels so much fucking different because the weight is 100% under your hand. It's not spread out at all. It's not on the same
Correct.
plane as your hand and your wrist. So
Correct.
it's like with rotational tools like clubs and maces and all that stuff, right? When you're swinging those, um, the longer they get, even if they're weighted the same, the harder it's going to be, right?
Okay.
And the feedback is going to be much different because length adds torque, which
Right.
adds force and things like that. And that's what you're going to feel. Um, so even though kettlebells are a little bit different, even the fact that, when you're holding a dumbbell, you're holding the handle, which is literally on the same plane as where the weight is. It's just on the outside.
Right.
But the kettlebell, so yes, the weight is under your hand, which makes it feel a little bit different. But the center of mass is also several inches below the handle,
Correct.
which if you extend a line down there, you're adding lever length to it.
Right.
Whether you really think about that or not, as soon as you pick it up, the weight is at the end of a longer lever than it is on a dumbbell, and it's going to feel much different. And especially as soon as you then start swinging it in any traditional kettlebell type motions, that added torque is immediately felt. And
For
people don't
sure.
really put that together and think, oh, that's why it feels different. But that's
I
pretty much.
never I never put that together. And that makes a lot of sense. Because that's exactly how it feels. Because I feel if I go to do any of these things with the same weighted dumbbell, coming off of what I used to work or how I used to work
Yep.
out, it would have been a lot easier. And I would have been like, this is easy. Like I'm growing through these weights like it's nothing.
Yeah.
You grab a kettlebell, same weight or even lighter, and you're just, wow, this is definitely different. And everything has to be engaged just because, like you said, it's a little longer. So now that leverage is different and you have to fight that leverage that's now fighting against you.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, with kettlebells as opposed to dumbbells, you're also doing a lot more, ballistic type movements and swinging type movements
correct.
that require, I mean, momentum. I don't want to say momentum, but require you to really proprioceptively feel your place in space in relation to that kettlebell and where the force is pulling you.
Right.
You know, dumbbells and barbells are heavy and shit, but they don't tend to like want to pull you and whip you around in
No, they want to
360.
just push you down. That's all
Right.
they
Yeah, they
just
want
want
to
to
crush
push you
you.
down.
You fight against gravity, cool,
Right.
which that's awesome. Um,
Right.
but
Kettlebells
with
want to pull you
kettlebells and
forwards.
clubs, it's like they're yanking you all the fuck over the place, and you're constantly having to ground yourself and adjust, you know, where you're leaning and where your center of mass is. And not only is that like really fun, but I think it has a lot of neurological benefits uh, as well. There's just a lot more going on in terms of motor units and what you're doing with your body, what you're feeling, what you're aware of in real time,
Yeah.
than simply moving up and down. You know.
Yeah, I think you can also become more aware of your body a lot faster with a kettlebell because you know where all your weaknesses are. Like I think it points out a lot of your weaknesses, and then it's like, oh man, I gotta really strengthen that. Or even just a swing, you can realize, oh, there's muscles there that I didn't know were there that are getting activated because this is a completely different movement than a
Yep.
regular squat or whatever. It's just a, I don't know, all around. I'm enjoying it and it's completely different. So I'm loving it.
Good, man. That's awesome to hear. They blew my mind when I get into them. And I picked up kettlebells for the first time probably 10 years ago, purely as a supplement to jujitsu, you know, because I always did some strength training, but I found it really hard because especially through my 20s and I was coming up through the belts and competing a lot and traveling, like jujitsu is what I did. Like I even, you know, I even made, I'll say poor decisions when I was young, although I wouldn't trade my jujitsu experience for anything. But, um, I decided to forego different post-secondary education routes. I decided to forego different just career paths that most 20 somethings are like driven. Fuck, I'm in my 20s. I got to financially start building my life. And I'm not going to say it's the smartest decision or advocate for people to do it. But when I was at that age, I was like, man, I need to fucking master jujitsu first. Like I will never be okay knowing there's people out there who can do this types of shit with their body, potentially to mine. And I know it exists and I don't know it. And I just can't function in anything. So I'm going to get my PhD in jujitsu. I'm going to get my black belt and then fucking worry about the rest later. And then it's like, I get my black belt, a year goes by, I'm 30 years old. And I'm like, whew. All right. Yeah. Life is real. Like jujitsu is cool, but life is real too. And now I got to focus on that a little bit.
Yeah, but I think even, I mean, going through that and knowing you can get through those struggles, I feel like if you get your black belt, you can pretty much do anything. Like, because getting your black belt's like not the easiest thing to do.
No, man, it's discipline and dedication. It's funny, my best friend who I grew up with forever, started doing jujitsu with. He's actually why I started doing jujitsu. Tell you that story really quickly. He he was always a bit smaller than me. Like we were lifting partners through high school. We grew up since we were 5, but he was always a bit smaller than me. I could always outlift him a little bit. And anytime we like wrestled and basement wrestled and stuff as kids, I always beat him. Every single time, always beat him. Didn't know what we were doing, but I'd get him in a fucking guillotine before we even knew what that was, and it would happen. And so he found this jujitsu club locally, and was just saying nothing but amazing things about it. Like, you don't understand. It's fucking mind blowing. It's like magic, man. You don't know this stuff is out there. And I was just still thinking of it like kung fu or something stupid.
Right.
I was like, I don't give a fuck about your jujitsu, man. I'll fucking punch you right in the face. And he's like, no, you've got to come try it with me. I'm like, I'm not coming and trying with you, man. I'm like almost 19. I just started lifting again. I'm like 6 months into a really good lifting routine. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling strong enough that I could beat the fuck out of you for sure. And he was like, well, come to the YMCA next time we go, and we'll go up in the gymnasium and put the wrestling mats down. And like, I'll choke you out 100 times in a row. And I just like laughed in his face. I was like, since when? You out for the first time in your life? Okay. So I was like, you're on. So we went that weekend. We put all the mats down up in the basketball court, and he fucking choked me like 25 times in a row with the exact same choke. He choked me with a fucking head and arm triangle from closed guard.
Oh my gosh.
Just endlessly. And like, I can't even explain to you the fucking rage that I felt in my body. Because the first couple times it was like, oh, wow, what even was that? How did I even get choked there? Like, that was fucking weird. Okay, yeah, let's go again. And he just kept doing the same thing. And like, I literally couldn't stop it. Like, he'd get me in his guard and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do in here. What's that? And then as soon as I post on him, he would just pull me in, knock my arm away, and fucking choke me.
Yep.
And I had no answer for it at all. And I just ended up having to like throw in the towel and be like, I'm okay, well, like we need to stop because like I don't have an answer for this. You said you were going to choke my fucking head off endlessly, and you did.
You did.
So I'm going to come with you to this jiu-jitsu club tomorrow because I'm not cool knowing
Right.
deep in my soul and bones that you could fucking end me now anytime you want to. Like that's fucked. Not that it ever would get to that way. We love each other like brothers.
Right, for sure. But just
But it was just
knowing that
yeah, it's that competitive friend to friend ego. It's like, bro,
no,
I
you
can't like
cannot
have
do
you, and you know this too because you just did it to me.
right.
It's like you fucking know it better than I do. And like, so yeah, so I went with him the next day, and that was it. And then just never stopped.
So how long was he doing it before he came to you?
You know what? Only like a month or maybe
Okay.
two. Only like a month or two. But that was in my mind too, where I was like, because I'm like, you've been going to these fucking classes a few times a week for like a month and you think you're this badass dude or like whatever. But then actually like physically experiencing it, I was like, this like it's not computing in my mind. I can't understand what's
Right.
going on here. Like I'm still stronger, I'm still bigger. You know, I've always had a pretty decent like physical proprioception in general, which I think is why I got good at jujitsu relatively quickly and then stuck with it. But yeah, it just fucked me up, man, mentally. So immediately went with him the next day. Um, yeah, and that was it, and never looked back. But you know, he's an ICU doctor now in our local big hospital. I'm nothing close to that. It's career-wise, we went separate ways. We're still very close. But it's funny because we'll both say that one thing aside from the physical and the confidence and all that stuff that jiu-jitsu gives you is one of the biggest takeaways and carryovers into everyday life is just being in a room full of people on such a regular basis that are so driven and so willing to just grind through the fucking trenches like that to accomplish a goal.
Right.
And collectively, because it's like you reflect the company you keep and all that stuff, right? That's all true. But with jiu-jitsu, it's like people from all walks of life, from all socioeconomic backgrounds and classes, all kind of working together for this one collective goal. Like he credits his ability to like get through medical school largely to jiu-jitsu and just to those lessons of. So I think like that's something that's really underrated, I think, too, because you always hear about, it's a vehicle to develop your potential and your confidence and all that stuff. And it is, and that stuff all matters. But just the experience, if you're not used to it, of every single person you're around on a daily basis, like sacrificing like fucking family time, going to the movies, like just normal shit that people do just to get good at this one thing that seems meaningless to other people. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. And it's crazy that, it's really awesome that he learned that in such a short amount of time and was able to just choke you out 25 times, because if he didn't, you never would have did it. You'd have been like, I told you, this doesn't work.
But literally, if I would have went there that day and like beat him,
yeah,
I wouldn't have gone with him because I would have been like, see, it's fucking stupid. I'm going to keep doing my bench presses
right.
or, my bro workouts, because it was bro splits back then for sure. I probably never even would have picked up a kettlebell, man, to be honest, because I only picked up a kettlebell because of jiu-jitsu. I was like, wow, look at the cool stuff you can do.
Right.
I found it really hard to strength train traditionally with enough volume and intent to make a difference, because I was just burning myself out on the fucking mats. And I was young and dumb, and I didn't know what I know now. And I was under eating and fueling my body terribly and under sleeping, and like just was probably in an overtrained state for years on end, to be honest, So I thought, oh, kettlebell is fucking great. I can get one or two even, a couple 35 pounders and fucking do all this crazy cool shit, not feel like I'm destroying myself. I'm seeing benefits on the mats. And then I just never looked back, man. I invested in a whole fuckload of kettlebells when I was younger, canceled my gym membership. But it was still like 90% jiu-jitsu,
For sure.
10% other stuff, and it's only really in the last, pretty much since my daughter was born, life really caught up to me. My grappling was slowing down a little bit at that point just because of work and different stuff. And then my daughter was born. It's fine to talk about because it is what it is. My wife suffered pretty bad, like postpartum depression.
Okay.
And then some other mental health issues that kind of spiraled off of that, which just meant that I had to be a lot more present
For sure.
at home and stuff like that than in the past. So I was like, okay, well, it's a lot harder for me to to just get away every fucking evening for like 3 hours, when I get home from work and all this stuff. But I'd also recognized that I was like 149 pounds, 148 pounds in the morning, which was light for me. Like I was usually 155 to 160 or so most of my jiu-jitsu life and adult life. But I knew that like my diet, my overall training had been slacking. I'm like, fuck, I'm a dad now. My life is super stressful. There's all kinds of shit going on. I've got to be the fucking rock. I've got to be there, hold it all together. So fuck it. I'm just going to get strong again, man. I'm going to get strong as fuck. And that's why I decided really to go on the kick that I've been on now for like 3.5 years. So I'm like, well, I'm at home. I've got kettlebells at home. Fuck it. I'll just, I won't think about anything short term. I'm going to be a dad. I'm going to do everything I have to do to be a husband and a father and take care of my family.
For sure.
But I'll just make sure that for at least 20 to 30 minutes a day. And for a while there, I was getting up at like 4 a.m. and doing it before I went to work, so that I could go to work, get home, immediately relieve my wife of my daughter, take care of her, be with my wife, and also have my own physical work done and just have to worry about eating. So it's been a real lesson in consistency, to be honest, because there was no like, okay, how much do I weigh tomorrow? Or like, did my fucking chest get bigger overnight? Like there was none of that. It was just focus on your responsibilities and just make sure you put in some fucking work all the time. And if you're putting in that work on a regular basis, then, when time moves as it does, all of a sudden it's going to be 6 months later. And I fucking guarantee you your body's going to be different. I guarantee you're going to be pushing heavier kettlebells. And that's pretty much what happened. Then it was about 6 months. I looked at a little side-by-side picture. I was like, holy fuck, I gained like 25 pounds. Definitely not all muscle. Like I said, I was a bit undertrained, but I didn't look like I got fat. My body fat percentage looked about the same. And that was just like the biggest, because people look for results, whether they're losing weight or gaining or whatever, and they're trying to look at it day to day, right? Or they're weighing themselves every day. It's like real bona fide results don't come in a week or even 30 days.
Or even,
like they take a long
6
fucking
months.
time. No, like
they could be a year
time.
and 6 months.
Exactly. But if you just do the fucking work, you don't think of anything beyond it, you just put in your 20 minutes or your 30 or whatever you have, you will get there, And I remember seeing a meme, and I've shared it on my Instagram, but it's like, growth of 0.1% per day. If you improve by literally 0.1% per day,
37% a year.
there you go. And that's huge.
Massive.
Like that's actually massive, man, and that's easy. I've seen that meme of like 1%, just improve by 1% a day. And then you're like, you've improved by fucking 4,000%. I'm like, dude, 1% a day every day.
It's that compound effect.
Yeah, you can't really sustain that. Like 1% is a lot on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's
a lot. 0.1%, just do fucking something.
Yeah. Like you said, we were talking kettlebells, 20 minutes. You don't need much more than 20 minutes just to get a workout in. You can pretty much die with 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Like,
it's funny, the dude, my buddy there, the doctor, my training partner, maybe like a few months into my new kind of get strong kick, he had come over and I was like, man, do this fucking kettlebell workout with me. And I think at the time I was running a couple programs out of Jeff Newpert's book, More Kettlebell Muscle. Really good, whole bunch of programs in it. They're structured really well. Definitely make a note of it. I'm usually not a big fan of like stock programs because everybody's different.
Right.
But you know what I mean? If you're looking for something that's just pretty good, like they're pretty good. Most of them run for like 5 or 6 weeks and they've got progression in them. So definitely check it out. But yeah, I had him do one of those with me with the lightest bells I had at home, which were 35s at the time. And he didn't even finish. And I've still got a picture of it actually, of him just laying face down on my kitchen floor, just fucked. I was like, nice, okay, cool. Like, again, this has reignited my awareness for like how badass kettlebells actually are.
For sure.
Because he bro lifts all the time and he's like in pretty decent shape. So to see him get completely fucking wrecked by a couple of yellow bells like that, I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I'm onto something here.
Yeah. I bought a program, I think in last August of 2021 from, I don't remember his first name, but Every Goddamn Dre on
Oh yeah, okay, I
Instagram.
follow him. Yeah,
Yeah, his program is awesome. I think
nice.
I wouldn't say for beginners. I've now done it twice. The second time was still not easy. I can tell you
Yeah.
that right now. I didn't have to move up in weight, and it still kicks your ass. But his workout is awesome, and I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't say it's for beginners, but you're gonna shed some weight, and you're definitely gonna put on some mass, because I did within, I don't know, it was just a couple months. I think my first month I lost like a good 6 pounds of fat. Just
Yeah.
that was the only thing I changed. I still was eating not the greatest, and I just started doing his workout, and it was insane.
Well,
So
I mean, you don't build a physique like his, not working hard.
no, that guy works hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no slacking in his routine.
So did he, was the program, was it made for you, or was it just made like, and then
No,
you
so
acquired
he has two options. He has one that's made for like anybody, it's just regular, and then he
Yeah.
has one where you'll have a Zoom conference. You'll tell him about what you're trying to accomplish, and then he will put together a personal one. I didn't go
Right.
for that one. I just went for the other one, just because
Yeah.
I was still in the midst of learning the kettlebell world, and
Sure.
I was like, screw it, I'll just try this. Like, I follow him. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. So the cool thing is um, he has you do, it's probably like 10 minutes of like mobility drills, and then probably like 15-ish minutes of warm-ups, and then you get into your workout. So
Yeah.
his whole program is, depending on how fast you burn through it, his is actually meant to go a little slower. Like, you're only supposed to do 1 or 2 sets, take a break, 1 or 2 sets, take a break. But yeah, that whole workout would take me about an hour and 10 minutes to get done.
That's a pretty good time.
Yeah.
Much more than
So
that, I think you're kind of spinning your tires.
right.
If
And
you're
really,
working
I mean,
properly.
that comes down with putting, the workout wasn't that long. It's really getting all your muscles fired up. The first 20-25 minutes, you're pretty much stretching and warming up, which you should
Yeah,
be anyways,
of
but that
course.
adds in. So the workout's only like 30 to 40 minutes long. But it's a killer workout.
That's awesome.
So I highly recommend it. I think the guy's awesome, and his workout is definitely helped me stay motivated in it. I
That's
do want to
great.
call him and have a personal one made. Just because like I said, I've repeated this one now. I'm on my third time doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I'm not stagnant. Everything's progressing. So
That's good. I mean, you can use the same program, and if if you're just smart about increasing the weights and backing off, if you overworked one session or whatever, you can still build your own progression into it.
for sure. Yeah. And then, so now I'm just adding more reps where I feel like it needs to. And then, I only have a couple kettlebells. So if I feel like I'm maxed out on that, I'll just add reps, or I'll add another set just to get that extra
Yeah.
overload on there. But if I don't feel like my body needs that, then I'll stick right to what he has written down and just go with that. But definitely a great workout. I see you do a lot with like maces.
Yeah.
I've never messed with those yet. So
You got to, man. You have to. I'm disappointed that I slept on them for so long. It's funny because it's almost become like a subspecialty of mine. I consider myself like an expert with kettlebells, and I also suffer a bit from like imposter syndrome, just probably because of jujitsu, man, to be honest. It's like I always thought as a white belt and a blue belt, like, fuck, but when I get my black belt, I'm just going to be this like mystical, magical jujitsu superpower. I'm just going to know everything. And then like I get my black belt, and I'm like, I fucking don't know anything. Like, I'm good at the shit that I do, and like I know a lot, and I can certainly teach a lot more than I use effectively on a regular basis and all the stuff. But I don't feel like I thought I was going to feel.
right.
I could still fucking learn jujitsu for the entire rest of my fucking life.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get my ass whooped. Well, I don't want to say by anybody, but there's always going to be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And for myself, it doesn't have to be anybody really that crazy.
No.
I rolled with some big name guys, and like, yeah, they fucking tooled me up really good, and you really feel like, wow, there really is levels to this black belt thing.
Yep.
But it's kind of like that, right? So when I say I'm an expert with kettlebells, like I am, and I need to trust it. It's been a very long time. Proficient in like hard style and kettlebell sport type of style. I'm a geek about mechanics. I've developed my own, I'm gonna say hybrid, but kind of hybrid style where I kind of blend the two, kettlebell sport type of stuff with hard style and strength and all the technical components that come with it. So I would call myself a kettlebell expert. When it comes to maces and clubs, I'm not, but I'm on my way. And I say it's almost become like a subspecialty because I picked up my first mace just this summer in July.
Okay.
It hasn't been nearly as long as bells. Years ago now, probably 7-8 years ago, one of my jiu-jitsu buddies lent me a couple of 15-pound club bells. And I was like, these are kind of stupid at the time. It's like, I just don't know. They're fucking weird. They're awkward as shit. They're long and like feel way heavier than 15 pounds. But I didn't know anything about them. Like I hadn't really seen anybody train with them. I'm just like, yeah, what am I going to do? YouTube wasn't quite what it was,
right,
or what it is now back then. And I wasn't nearly as big and strong as I am now either. So it's like I'd see people doing like a mill, and I'm like, oh, I can do that. And it just like ripped my fucking shoulder off behind my body. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how are you gonna like throw this thing like a baseball? Like, that's ridiculous. And so I just didn't really give them much play. I gave them back to him. I was like, yeah, they're cool, but never thought about it again. And then I started seeing a few things. Well, because I mean, it's picking up. It's becoming a bit more trendy now, I guess.
for sure.
On social media, and a couple of like internet buddies of mine started making these plate loadable, adjustable maces. And I'm watching. I'm like, fuck, those are pretty cool. And one thing led to another. And dude was like, listen, I'll make you one and I'll send it to you and I'll only charge you the shipping because he's in Idaho.
Okay.
It's just even just to ship it up here, it ended up still running me $200 fucking, which is like ridiculous, But yeah, so he did it, and I was like, didn't want to be like a total fucking ham with it, when it came. Even though I don't have to post things right away, I still am just like sucking ass at physical things. I just don't like it. So I was like sitting here in my living room with like my broom, legit, as like I'm waiting for it to come, and like a broom isn't weighted properly. But I'd sit there and my wife was like, what you're an idiot, dude. It's like, I know, I get it. It's fine. Whatever. Just don't look. I'd like stand there in my living room with the broom like behind me and just trying to like visualize, okay, well, if the end of this broom weighed like fucking 15 pounds, like how would this feel? Like where would the weight want to go? And like where maybe would my body want to go and different things. And like, so it sounds fucking dumb, but it's like I taught myself how to swing a mace with a broom and like not really swinging it, just trying to
visualizing
jiu-jitsu. And because of the 360-degree pull of rolling with an opponent and inverting and being upside down and knowing where your body is and where to move in all these different positions, I feel like I'm better able to physically visualize movements I haven't done before than somebody who hasn't, grappled like that.
Sure. I agree with that.
And then the mace came, and it like when I watched the videos of like my maiden voyage swings, they are fucking ugly compared to what I'm swinging now, for sure. But I'm very happy with how I've progressed in like an 8-month span with them. And then pretty quickly bought a couple of clubs and like a really fucking heavy club and some shorter maces. And I'm still in the process of acquiring more. And I consider them just as valuable as kettlebells. And they now occupy just as much of my programming as kettlebells do. And that was a huge learning curve because I had my kettlebell shit like nailed down. I'm making big strength gains, size gains. My lifts are going up. And then this fucking mace comes and my OCD kicks in and like my hyper focus side of fucking ADHD kicks in. And I'm just like, my mind cannot settle until I have this technique dialed in. And it's such a foreign technique. And my wife was like, Josh, you need to put this fucking mace, like you're going to kill yourself. Because I was just swinging it nonstop. Every time I walked past it, I'd pick it up. Or like I'd be opening the side door in the kitchen. She's like, what are you doing? I'm going up in the backyard with the mace again. Yeah. It's like, again, Josh, stop. Like, I can't. I fucking suck at this thing. and it's eating me alive. And like, it's, I don't know, man, it's like a blessing and a plague, because the first month I would say I had it, like, and I'm not even exaggerating, dude, I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't sleep. I every time I closed my eyes, I would just be swinging a mace. All the fucking dreams that I was having in my bed, and like, as weird as it sounds, but like dreams like dictated by the position I'm laying in. And it was all swinging maces, and it's like I'd be in this uncomfortable position, and like my swings would be fucking awful in my dream, and then like I'd adjust and get more comfortable, and then like, oh, now my technique's getting better. And I'd wake up in the morning exhausted, and I couldn't turn it off. It was just like that. And then I'd have to get up in the morning, go down, pick up my mace. Oh fuck, like this is how it felt when I was sleeping. Like maybe like let me see this, and like it's not like that anymore. Luckily, I've hit the point where it's like,
You're
okay, my
past
body
that.
knows this. I have the tool. But I get messages where people are like, man, like mace learning curves are really long. Or people will say, dude, it took me like a year to be able to swing, like still not quite as well as you do. And certainly not the weight that you do. Like, what's the deal? And I was like, it's literally because my brain just fucking short circuits sometimes. Like I didn't have a choice really. And I'm not gonna lie, like it was really fucking nerve-wracking for the period of time, but here we are. But
Yeah,
that's why I was so dog with a bone with jujitsu too, right? Because that's what my brain did. Fuck, you don't know how to move like this. You don't know these things, and it was just, that's what you got to do.
yeah, my brain definitely went with that with jujitsu because, so our my son has his class, it's an hour, then it's our class, it's an hour, and then you can stay and do live rules. Well,
Yeah,
first couple times I didn't do it, I was just like, yeah, like very timid, like I don't know about this yet. And then by like my fourth class, I was like, I'm in, I'm hooked. And then literally our professor's like, okay, dude, like I gotta mop the mats up and go home and still go to bed because I still have to do my other job in the morning. And it's like 10 o'clock.
yeah.
So our class gets done at 7:30 and it's now 10 o'clock and he's asking me to get off the mat. So he's like, I'm super happy that you're like into it, but like 10 o'clock's like the latest we can go. So
You can come back tomorrow, man.
yeah, so we stay, so class till 7:30, we stay till about 9:30, 10 o'clock every night still. And now it's just, we'll help you mop the mats up and get
Nice.
closed up because I'm not leaving. Like, sorry, it's not happening.
Good. That's the way you got to be, though, man. It's, I don't know, people, I think, what did I see? A little clip of David Goggins. I think it was like yesterday. It was out of context. It was just quick, but he was talking about how, people will call you obsessed about certain things.
For sure.
But it's like, whether it's a completely conscious choice or whether it's like my brain with the mace, it's just like, you have to fucking be good at this, period. If you really want to be really fucking good at something, anything, and like genuinely holds value to you to be that, you're gonna be obsessed, and you're gonna look ridiculously obsessed probably to other people who don't share that same value system.
For sure.
It just is what it is, but it's the difference. Me and my buddy, when we started jiu-jitsu, after his ass whooping he put on me at the YMCA, we would still go there on the weekends, when there wasn't jiu-jitsu class, put the mats down and just roll and practice techniques on our own. We'd fucking whatever, we'd have a day off of school or something, or we have a free class, and we'd get together and rep techniques that we learned at class last night before we went to jiu-jitsu again. And then lo and behold, we got better than the other white belts in our white belt group. But it is what it is. It's, there's natural ability and talent, which makes a big difference. Like, you can't ignore that elephant in the room, but just dedication and consistency and work ethic trumps that.
Just putting that mat time in. Jiu-jitsu speaking, everything else is just putting in the time and dedication. But the more time you're working on it, whether you're at your best or you're just going through the motions, your body's still learning all that.
100%.
So it's just that mat time, but you just got to put it in. That's the only way you're getting better. I have the same thing. We have a bunch of, I'm still a white belt. We have other white belts that are just like, why is Mike getting so much better and faster and like learning stuff? Well, that's because I stay until 10 o'clock and roll with the freaking brown belt every single night. Like,
it matters, man. Like, if people don't, so if they leave at the end of class, for example, and maybe class is an hour, and class consists of like warm up, maybe, I don't know your club, but in a lot of jiu-jitsu clubs, the warm up is kind of pointless. I like to say generally, like I like to run warm-ups by drilling techniques. That like
It's
run around, do a whole bunch of shrimps, do a whole bunch of jumping jacks, do all, it's like you can do that, but like why? You're paying for jujitsu from
right.
me. Why am I going to put you take the first 15 minutes of your class, of your hour class or whatever, making you do fucking somersaults and stuff like that, when you could just as easily pair up with a partner, whether I tell you what to do or not, or just say, hey, you know what? Partner up for 10 minutes. You got 5 techniques each or 5 reps each, and rep whatever you want.
Right.
Like, rep takedowns, rep a guard pass, do some footwork drills, do something, not with resistance and fighting. So you're using your body, you're warming up with
For sure.
jujitsu movements, but you're also practicing.
For sure.
I mean, I've definitely run my fair share of just like, let's whoop your ass and tire you out before class warm-ups as an instructor. But as I kind of evolved over time, I was like, why am I even doing this though? Am I almost just like flexing on these people that like I'm more fit than they am, so I can do all these fucking drills? Like, what's the point of these things? Then I kind of went in a different direction.
Yeah, ours is, we probably do 5 to 10 minutes warming up,
That's
just
not
running around the mat, some jumping jacks, a little bit of stretching. The gym we go to, we have quite a bit of older guys there, so their bodies need to fire up a little longer than ours.
yeah.
And then we do a lot more drills for warm-ups. And then once we hit that halfway mark, then it's all about the lessons and the techniques we're going to be working on for the day. So, and I wouldn't even say ours is an hour. Ours goes, it's either an hour, sometimes it's an hour and 15 minutes. He tries to keep it at that hour because some of those guys do have to get out of there. But then guys like us are just like, I don't care if it goes till 8:30. Like,
I'm not in a rush.
shit. We're not
Yeah,
leaving.
that's what I was gonna say. It all comes down to hours, So you could go say 3 times a week, just like white belt B, but he goes and only puts in the class time and goes home. So maybe he's training for 3 hours a week, but if every single night you're staying for an extra hour, hour and a half,
Right.
and actually rolling and actually training with better guys, even if you're just getting tuned the fuck up, that teaches you so fucking much.
Oh yeah,
right? Like that you're actually training like triple what that guy is.
for sure.
Even though on paper it seems like you're training the same. And he's like, fuck, you go to the same classes I do. Why are you getting so much better? And it's like, because I train 3 times more than you do.
Right.
There's no secret to it. Train more and you'll get better quicker too.
For sure. Yeah, it's just, and then rolling with upper belts, like you said, that almost like doubles or triples your time depending on who you're rolling with. I have a brown belt and he's
Well, yeah,
like,
you don't want to be like roll with an asshole who's not going to teach you anything and just completely whoop you with his A game every time. But even that, I mean, there's benefit to it.
there is benefit to it, but that's the nice thing about our gym is all the guys there are like, they're awesome. They're there to teach you if they're an upper belt, and they're also there to learn, even though they're an upper belt. And they'll roll with anybody, doesn't matter who they are. I know some guys go to some gyms and they're like, we're not allowed to roll with white belts. The upper belts are. And I was like, but how do we learn if we're, whatever? So I'm like super grateful. I get to roll with my professor all the time. I get to roll with 2 brown belts we have. And the cool thing is their styles are completely different. The one guy's more of like a smash and pound guy, and the other guy is just like, he's like Gumby, like he's just can move in these weird ways.
Nice.
So it's like super cool to roll with those guys. But you'll do something and in your head, like I kind of talk sometimes when I do jujitsu, and it might be annoying, but it's like, damn, that was really cool. Well, then the brown belt will be like, okay, I'm going to submit you, and then I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to show you what I just did because you thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
So he goes, that's how I set it up. That's how I finished it. This is how we're going to teach you. So I'm getting all those extra lessons at the end of class that are.
And in a way, like that's almost like privates.
It's almost like what?
It's almost like private lessons.
Oh no, for sure. That's what I consider it.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And in the summertime, everybody's got family stuff going on, and I totally get that. But my wife knows, like, when we go to class, we're not leaving there until 9:30, 10 o'clock. She just expects it now. And everybody was gone. Like, everybody would leave. I literally would stay from 8 until about 9:30. I would literally just roll with my professor. It was like private lessons for the whole summer.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to leave. He's like, I don't want, if you're staying, I'm staying. Like, I don't want to leave. I'm only going to leave because no one's here.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds like a good, I mean, sounds like a good instructor who's doing jujitsu for the right reasons too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
That is a nice thing.
he's actually a really awesome guy. So he's a recruiter for the Army. So the way
Okay.
he does it is when he recruits, he doesn't care about what the military wants him to recruit. He recruits because he's like, these are the guys I'm able to mentor. So, and then he tries to bring them into his gym to show him that discipline, and like
Yep.
just the way he has everything put together is, I think it's awesome.
That's great. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, he's a great mentor, super cool guy. I'm really excited because he will be retiring from that in like 2 years, and then the gym's gonna be open up 6 days a week.
Hey, fucking yeah.
So now it's like, all right, what kind of businesses do I have to set up now where I can go in 6 times a week and not just 2 times a week?
Yeah, that's the way you gotta think.
I know that's really weird to set your life up so you can do more jujitsu, but that's how I'm looking at it. I don't
It's
really
not
care.
weird. It's not weird to me, man. That's how I lived like my whole life up until very recently. So I get it. Trust me.
Yeah, how can I set my life up so I can do more jujitsu and still live the lifestyle we want to live?
Like I get calls from people or like, family, friends of my parents, like, hey, like I heard about, or I have this job opportunity, and like I thought about you, like, would you like it? And it's like, yeah, that would be a really great thing. That'd be a really good thing for me to do right now, for sure. But I can't be at the jiu-jitsu club by 5:30 every single day through the week. Then I'm not doing it. And like that, and that was just it. Like I just didn't even think twice about anything through my whole, it's like, I don't have a black belt yet. This is what I'm doing right now. So fuck it, and I'd like work, at a bar downtown doing security or like serving drinks or something. So it's like I could train in the daytime, I could train in the evening, and then go to work at night. I wasn't really making the money that I should have.
Right.
I was making enough to scrape by day to day and do what I wanted to do. But like I said, I wouldn't. Would it be nice to have been a bit more financially responsible and a bit more, life-minded when I was younger? Sure. But if some magical fucking genie came down right now and was like, I can erase your entire jujitsu memory and experience, but like set you up with, a few $1,000,000, I'd be like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't. I could never trade money. So
no, those experiences and life lessons that you learned are going to get you so much further than the money would.
100%, for sure. I don't even know who I'd be without jujitsu, man. It's just, because like I mentioned when I was a blue belt, and it's like on one hand you think you're fucking Superman. I can remember being even like a white belt, but like a decent one, and being so aware, because I'd never really thought about fighting every single person I laid eyes on and shit until jujitsu, because it's like, wow, this person doesn't look physically able and they can smoke me and whatever. So then I'd find myself like on a bus or something, not like violent minded at all, not wanting to start anything, but just kind of looking around at everybody else and be like, I wonder if I could beat every single person on this bus. Or like in this room. Like if it really came down to it, like am I physically like the toughest person here? And in some settings, and you can't always judge books by its cover, but you can be pretty confident that like, what, I actually think that I'm probably the most physically able person in this group or whatever. And I used to be really conscious of that. And then, working downtown as a low-level jiu-jitsu belt, and you get a little bit overzealous, and, this much larger dude has had too much to drink and he doesn't want to leave when you're talking nicely, and you're thinking, man, I know jiu-jitsu. If he attacked me, I'll just fucking like arm lock him or something. But you're not thinking like, what's it going to take to get that arm lock? This is a huge ass guy. What if he just picks you up and throws on your fucking head on the ground? He can do that.
Oh, for sure.
You see it in jiu-jitsu competitions. It's illegal, but like you just smash them off the fucking ground to get out of a triangle or an arm lock or whatever. And I didn't think about any of this stuff because that stuff didn't happen to me in the academy.
Right.
And so I definitely had like a distorted view of that. But then as you get up through all the belts and you get to black belt and you actually get older and more wise and stuff too, it's like the confidence I have in, I guess, feeling like I'm always able to completely physically handle myself should I need to, is like 100 times higher than it was then, but it's completely subconscious.
Right.
I literally cannot tell you the last time I had a conscious thought.
Well, it's not the
like,
ego talking.
I bet I could beat that fucking guy up pushing his grocery cart. Like that does not enter my fucking mind at all. But it directly informs the way that I carry myself, the way that I behave, the decisions that I make, the lack of care that I have for doing something that somebody might think is humiliating, or well, what if somebody sees that and laughs? Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't give a single fuck about anything at all. And it's not because I'm thinking that I'll fucking bash them, or that's not even in my mind. But it's like an old meme I saw of I think Henry Gracie, I think it was. And it was, I can't remember the exact quote, but it was basically like, when you know deep in your mind that you can basically beat up anybody, your just general confidence level just changes, whether you're aware of it or not. Like I've got a friend of mine who a few years ago we met at a restaurant like for lunch, and I get out of my car, he gets out of his car, and we're both wearing a baby blue American Apparel t-shirt. Mine was a crew neck, his was a V-neck, but they were the exact same, like the same. And I just laughed. I was like, oh, fuck, looks like we planned this. And he was like distraught. He's like, well, fuck, man. Like, what the fuck? I'm not going, like, do you got a sweater in your car? No, it's the fucking summertime. And he was like dead serious. He's like, I'm not going in there with you, like, whatever. And I was like, why? Like, who actually gives a shit? Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, I'm starving. Like, we're here. Like, let's go in. And he was seriously like upset that
This
like
was
one of us
insane,
couldn't
sure.
go and change. And I even said to him, I was like, what the fuck is, like, what's your problem? What are you so worried about? And he actually said, and this is a little bit weird at the time, but he was like, well, I don't know, man. It's just like, well, like, what are people going to think? What do you mean? What are they going to think? They're not going to think anything. We're going to go and fucking eat like a burger. He's like, yeah, but like wearing the exact same t-shirt and just like walking in, like we both got fucking tattoos, like the same t-shirt on, like people are going to think we're like a fucking couple or something. So it's like, one, no, they're not. But like, who gives a fuck if they do?
Right.
Like, who actually gives a shit? Like, what are you actually worried about? And it's like, then I just started to try to unpack it, right? Because it's like, that was a bit extreme, but so many males have these weird insecurities, and not necessarily in that context, but just these weird insecurities, Like, I've got really long eyelashes. They're really fucking long, and they get tangled, and they hit sunglasses and shit. Girls like them, and girls want them, but they're kind of a pain in my ass. I discovered my wife's eyelash curler a few years ago. Like, what is this thing? Oh my fuck. And it changed my life. I was like, oh my God, they never get tangled. They don't hit my sunglasses. I've never got so many compliments at work in the office from other women, just like, oh my God, your eyes are beautiful. I haven't never noticed your eyes before. Be like, this Chanel curler, baby. That's what it is.
Eyelashes.
But like, I'm not embarrassed by it, because like, who gives a shit? What's somebody going to do? But all the dudes in the office would be like, no, you don't really do that. No, you don't. You're joking. Like, I'm not joking. And I'd have to like take it out of my fucking bag. Be like, this is it. Yeah, I fucking put it on my eyelashes. And then they're just like, just baffled, looking at me like, but. And I had one guy ask me, and he was like, I don't mean like any offense by this, but like, aren't you straight? Like, yeah. It's like, then like, why do you do that to your eyelashes? Like, what's going through your fucking head? Like, what lens do you look at the world through? Oh my God, like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, that's gotta suck to have all these things on your mind all the time, even if it's subconscious, that don't fucking matter. But then I think, well, and I'm going on a tangent here, but it's like, I think a lot more things with males get rooted in and from violence than we like to admit, right? Because like, we have to be a civil society, we have to be cool, we can't just be fucking apes out attacking everybody and letting rage and just being fucking maniacs. But we're still an animal, we're a mammal, and if you look at nature, males have fucking egos, and males compete, and males fight. Right. And in nature, males have to fight for almost everything they fucking have. Mm-hmm. Another one wanders into the territory, whether they like it or not, they can go, okay, you can have my whatever, my pack, my family, my food, my female, and I'll just leave. Or I can like fight you and fucking maybe I'll die, and then that's what it's going to be. But like, with humans, we still have those same impulses and instincts. We just have better tools than wild animals to buffer that and deal with it and things like that. But I really think it's kind of like, why would you be so worried about it? Like my buddy with the t-shirt thing, or somebody with the eyelash curler. And it's like, okay, so if we walk into that restaurant with the same shirt on, what's the worst thing that could happen? Literally, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I'm trying to think about it from his perspective, because nothing can happen. It's a non-issue.
Right.
But he's so worried about it. Okay, well, what are you worried about? And the only thing it can really be, really, is that we walk in and people start looking and snickering. Or call him out. What are you guys, a couple of fags or whatever the fuck he's worried about? I don't know what he's worried about. He's the one who said, "Oh, they're going to think we're a couple." Who cares? Like, we're not, but like, what if we were? Maybe we are. I don't fucking know. We don't know these people. Whatever. Who cares, man? But it's like, or the eyelash curl. Like, nobody or no dude, and I'm generalizing here, but wants to be put down publicly, made to feel smaller and embarrassed, to inflate other people, and not be able to do a fucking thing about it.
Right.
Because I'm like, what could you possibly be that worried about that now it's ruined your day? You don't want to have lunch. You're like actually distraught physically about this. What is your worry? And it could only be that you think someone's going to fucking clown you in this restaurant. You're going to feel really small. These other people are going to be laughing at you, and that you can't do anything about it. It's got to be the only thing. And I think it's subconscious, because people don't walk around thinking about fighting all the time, especially if you're not a fighter and you can't fight. But it's like, how bad would that be in his mind if that actually happened, right? We walk into the restaurant, he gets publicly humiliated by all these other dudes, then tries to stand up for himself and gets
And
fucking
he
beat
can't.
up,
Right.
right? It's that
twice.
helpless feeling of like,
Right.
wow. And it's the same with the eyelash curler. All these, I can't believe you would do that. I don't even believe that it's not a joke. But aren't you straight? Like, I can't compute. Well, who gives a fuck? It makes me more comfortable. It actually
My
does
wife is
enhance the
here.
way that my eyes look. Who gives
Yeah.
a shit? I'm not putting makeup on, but even if I did, who cares about that either? And yeah, I'm confident enough to do it without thinking about it. Because if I really did think about it, if I pulled that fucking curler out and somebody jumped up and tried to like clown me or like embarrass me, it wouldn't. I would give it right back to him. And if it really came down to that nature aspect, I would just beat him the fuck up, and I'd be the one walking away with my shit anyway.
Right.
Who wants to get beat up by the guy with the pretty eyes that you just clowned, or whatever it is?
Right. No,
know?
I mean, I know what you're saying. Totally. Yeah. It just builds that. I mean, all this just builds that inner confidence, whether you know you have it or not. So you just walk around, and I can tell you that I've grown a lot in the last year, just literally from jujitsu. I struggle
no doubt.
with having self-confidence.
Yeah.
I literally had this podcast idea a year ago, like as I was starting jujitsu. It wasn't because of jujitsu, but I had this idea, and I literally didn't start it because I was too worried about what other people were going to think, whether it was good or not.
Yeah.
It took me almost a
Like,
whole year
that,
to get
man.
over that. But why? I'm doing this not for me. I'm doing this for other people to help them out so they can get started in the fitness journey, where
Yeah.
there's so many different ways where you can go with it. Like, and there's so much, I don't want to use this word. What's the word I want to use? There's so much bad information out there on how to do this, when you don't have to do crazy workouts to get in shape. You could literally go walk around your block. Cool, you mastered that.
Yeah.
Now walk around it twice. Cool, you mastered that. Now do it 5 times.
But that's so important to say, because for the average person, which is the vast majority of people,
For sure.
right, that should, that ought to, let's say, be in a bit better shape, right? Literally just that is one of the best things they can do. I used to scoff at walking when I was younger. People, I exercise, I walk, middle-aged people. I'm like, you don't exercise, you're a human, you're supposed to fucking walk, go push a sled or like or whatever, right? Walk up a hill backwards or something. But no, man, like, dude, walking is literally one of the best forms of physical exercise that your body can possibly do for anybody.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody who is like, maybe you're middle-aged or you're approaching middle age and you're out of shape and you're overweight and you've got mobility issues and you've got joint issues and maybe some other health conditions, and you're like, wow, I want to make a positive change for myself. And you've gotten that far, but then you're like, I don't know what to do. So let's look for some guidance. And all you see is these crazy fitfluencers
Yeah.
with like 6 bands and 6 mobility balls, doing a bench press sideways, standing on one foot. And like, it's just, what the fuck, man? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It is
None of
insane.
that is necessary.
No, no, it is not necessary. Not necessary. And some of those things do look pretty cool. It's like, I think it's impressive. Like you got to that point. That's awesome. But kind of sometimes show where you started from. Like,
Well, this is it, right? And even like, I'm not going to use the every goddamn Dre guy as an example, because I don't know that much about him. I do follow, but there's other guys out there who, like, let's name drop some, Primal Soldier. There's a guy that's called on Instagram JTM Fit. He's actually another type 1 diabetic, which mad respect to him. But like these dudes are like straight up like jacked, clearly stronger, or you know, to be able to lift more than this like 20 kilo kettlebell that they're doing this burner flow with or whatever. But all they post is kettlebell and body weight burner. And it's almost like no rhyme or reason to it. It's just a relatively light bell, do these like flowy motions and like side step lunges and like some burpees and then do this. And they're all sweating. And I'm not saying it's not a good workout, but like, that's not how you want to work out all the time to actually achieve a goal other than simply burning calories and sweating.
right.
That's also not the way they built that fucking physique. There's not a chance.
No.
I know how they built that physique, and it's from eating a fuckload of food and lifting heavy ass weight in traditional style compound lifts.
Right.
For sure. Whether they show it or not or whatever, but I just wish there was a bit more honesty of like, yeah, this is a kettlebell and body weight burner, but that's what it is. You know, I actually did the bulk of my workout before this. Or
right. This is my cool down.
Yeah, and these guys too. It's like, you know, they don't look like that. They're not shredded like that year round. Like, it's a business. I get it. It's marketing. You know, they shred down the photo shoot mode.
Yeah.
For a week or two, they film all kinds of workout
Everything.
content.
A year worth of
Exactly.
shit. All the
And
pictures.
then they go. So it's like it's promoting the false image that like I look like this year round. I train like this year round. And when I work out, this is how I work out. And look at me. This is what I look like. And it's like, man, that's disingenuous as fuck.
Yeah. And it gives
Again, not to say
everybody
that the workouts are bad or people won't have fun with them or whatever, but for this person that you're trying to gear toward, like your you know, demographic or audience, it's like, hey, I want to get started with this type of stuff. I want to learn how to get fit, how to get strong in a way that's sustainable over time with
right.
longevity. And like, that's the stuff that they're inundated with. You know, for people who are like, I don't want to say real, but like real trainers or people with better intent than simply marketing themselves and making money and getting a following for themselves, really helping people achieve goals. It's really an uphill battle on social media.
It
you
is.
know, because even me, like I've gotten a lot of exposure lately, but it's like I've got like 4,000 followers, and I do some cool type of shit. But people just, you know, scrolling through who sees a guy with like 100,000 followers who's just doing crazy high intensity, crazy shit all the time, he's gonna get more clicks and gonna get more follows, especially to the layperson. You know, there's a local guy here, and I'm not gonna name drop him because I don't dislike him or anything, but even he does like this weird shit. Like he put up a video yesterday of him pushing a sled. The sled has like 1,200 pounds stacked on it. And then he's got a barbell on his back with 200 pounds just balancing across his back while he's pushing the sled that's barely moving. And it's like, again, okay, like, cool, you're very physically fit. And like, it took a long way to get to that place where you can do that party trick. And like, that's pretty fucking cool. But why are you posting it like that? What exactly is it doing? There's not a chance you're going to give an answer. No. And the unfortunate bit is maybe they do give an answer that has a whole bunch of big words, you know, from they read a kinesiology book or something like that. And to somebody who's educated, it's like, that's a whole bunch of fucking nonsense. Right. But to that layperson, it might actually make them double down and be like, wow, he fucking knows his shit. Right. And you're like, oh man, like, it's just rough, you know. So I'm a big fan of like I said, the idea that you're doing with this podcast. Anybody who's catering to just reality, you know, there's just so much smoke and mirrors. And then you talk about drugs and all. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But it's like between promoting workouts that you don't actually do, that didn't actually build your physique the way that it is now,
For sure.
pretending that the workout you're posting today is the workout you did today, not 6 months ago when you were in photo shoot mode for a week.
Right.
And then the fact that you probably do some trend and you probably take this, that, and the other. It's just like, I don't know, man. I just like, it's weird, right? Because like I love the fitness industry and it's my passion. I've been involved in it for so long, but I also fucking hate it real bad.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's why I wanted to do this podcast, because getting started is just hard enough, because like you said, where do you turn? You see this guy with 100,000 followers doing these crazy things, and then you see a guy like you're jacked, you only have 4,000 followers, and it's like, oh, that looks really easy. It's not easy. Like, I've done the kettlebell side. It's fucking hard. The mace stuff, I do have a story I can tell you about that. I tried to do it with a sledgehammer, just an 8-pounder. But I'm like,
Sure.
I'll try it. Yeah, I smacked myself in the leg like 6 times. I was like, I'm done. I got to get a real mace. This handle's oval. This is just not right. But I had to try something.
Awesome.
But yeah, they're gonna probably go and watch that guy over you just because it looks flashy. But the shit you're doing is the shit you're actually doing, and you get better results from it.
Like people message
just
me,
putting
like,
in the
what else do
consistency.
you do? Do you like do this type of weight training too? Like, do you do any of this stuff? And I'm like, man, I don't post my entire workouts, but I post clips of like everything I do.
Yeah.
Like maybe, you know, I picked up the 20-pound dumbbells and I did a couple sets of fucking side laterals as a finisher that I didn't post. But like, other than something trivial like that, like I'm putting at least a clip or so of pretty much everything I'm doing. Like, there's nothing that I'm hiding like these other guys. Like, well, actually I'm getting all my gains from this other thing, but I'm just posting kettlebells and maces. It's not like that. What you see, that's what I'm doing, you know?
Right. Yeah, and there's, like you said, there isn't a lot of guys out there showing that. They're showing you one section and not the whole thing. And it kind of sucks. That's the whole point.
But then also people see me doing almost the same thing every day.
Right.
Do you do the same thing? Like, you just swing the mace around and like you put kettlebells overhead? Like, well, it's not quite that simple.
Yeah,
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, you know, like the way to make real progress is not muscle confusion. It's not doing something different every single fucking day because your body doesn't know what the fuck you're doing. It's progressive overload. You know, switch things up every handful of weeks, sure.
Yes.
But I mean, dude, like the best program for real progress is going to have very few movements and it's going to repeat them a fuckload and you're going to get real fucking strong at them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I liked doing every goddamn Dre's workout. It was literally the same workout or the same movement. He may add in something to make it a little harder, you know, instead of just doing a swing, it'll be a swing squat, you know, just adding that little extra. And it's crazy. It's just, that's exactly what I was looking for. And that's why I love it. But I've noticed my gains have gone up from that. And I was like, man, just from a 35-pound and a 53-pound kettlebell, it's massive gains.
Is that what you have right now? You got 135 and 153?
Yeah.
Dude, get some doubles for sure.
I have 235s.
Okay, good.
So, because that's what I started with, and I realized, okay, I do need some doubles here. And then I knew some of the movements that I was going to do, like the swings, I wanted to upgrade, and I didn't need 253s. So I'm slowly building that. So
nice, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I definitely need to upgrade some stuff. And then I need some in between kettlebells because going from 35 to 53 is a massive jump.
It's huge.
It's huge. Like 5 pounds, not so bad, but almost 20 pounds, that's a big jump.
Yeah, mine, like they're all competition belts, so they're in kilos, right? But basically they're like 35, 44, 53, 61 and a half, and 70, right? So like 16 through 32 in 4 kilo increments.
Okay.
And I think they even do go in like 2 kilo increments as well. It's just a lot of money to spend on kettlebells to have that many, especially in pairs. But no, dude, like the difference even from like the 28 kilos to the 32 kilos is ridiculous. is ridiculous. Like the difference from the 24s to the 28s is a 4 kilo jump. And you're like, yeah, these are a lot heavier. But then the difference from the 28s to the 32s feels 5 times bigger.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It just, you hit a certain point and it's like, Jesus fuck, man, like these are crazy. So yeah, so certainly going from something like a 53 all the way to a 70 or a 35 all the way to a 53, even though it doesn't seem like that much,
Yeah.
that's a big
It
jump.
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't sound like it because it's like, well, it's only 18 pounds. Well, it's not, because if you just picked
I
up,
add 18 pounds to the bar between every single set. Come on, man, grow up.
yeah, like
yeah,
if you
it's not
just
the
picked
same.
up, if you just picked up an 18-pound kettlebell, that would be a lot. Like that would be good. That'd be a good movement. So
Yeah, 100%.
jumping from that to that is just, it is a lot. But I
Yeah.
knew I'd be able to make that jump because there were some of the bigger moves that I was doing more consistent, and the 35s were just getting way too light. So
Yeah.
So I knew I could handle it, but I do need to get, a lot more. Like I said,
doubles are just where it's at. Like singles are great and all, but it's you know, even if you're doing like overhead work, you're doing jerks or something, right? You're doing 135-pound bell, cool. Well, you do 2, it's the same amount of weight per arm,
right.
but it doesn't translate that way.
Nope.
At all. Like I've heard people like, oh, I can press the 53 like, you know, 6 times overhead. I'm like, you got a 6 rep max with 153, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna get another one. Like you probably can't press them once.
No.
They're like, well, what do you mean?
Each shoulder can, but everything else can't support that. The way
Right,
everything is going to be moving, right?
Yeah, and your whole central nervous system, the whole rest of your body has 100% more of load that it has to stabilize and handle. You don't have any rotational aspect that you do in unilateral stuff. Everything's stabilized, and it is way fucking different. Yeah. But even though you're still operating with sub-maximal weights compared to like barbells and things, double kettlebell work, man, that's the ticket to gains. Like big fucking time.
All right. Well, looks like I got some stuff I gotta go buy.
Yeah,
so awesome. All right, man. Well, that was great. I really appreciate taking the time.
No worries, man. I appreciate you reaching out.
I
know you're just getting started, but obviously, hopefully this takes off for you, because I think you're doing a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I think this is going to help a lot. I mean, even if it helps one person go down the right path, I feel that's awesome. So, plus I'm learning a lot. You know, I'm not just getting started. I've been like, I started off, and I've been more consistent up until like this last week. I pulled 2 muscles, my back of my bicep muscle and then a lower pec muscle from jiu-jitsu.
I was going to say at jiu-jitsu, yeah.
I didn't even do anything. It was super dumb. I just call it like the old man body construction guy. So anyways, I'm getting that worked on. So now it's all like lower body stuff, but yeah. I need to be more consistent, and I just want to show people that I'm real. I'm still making gains and making the effort to make it happen. I'm not jacked. I want to be, but that comes with consistency.
You're not like a skinny fat guy, or like, you know, you look fit.
Yeah, I'm definitely have the athletic build. It's like, it's just, I want that little bit of gut going. That's all I want.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, dude, it's like we all see each other, you know, ourselves differently too, right? Body dysmorphia is real. Because I get all these comments, oh man, and it's, I mean, I feel like somewhat objectified, because like I post shit with my shirt off, and it's like the outreach on my account is like 10 times what it is if I got a t-shirt on. So I'm like, all right, I guess we'll do that a little bit. But I get messages like, oh man, like you look like this, or your physique is that. And I'm like, half the time I walk by the mirror, I'm still like, fuck man, like do people just think I'm like just like this chubby guy who like thinks he's jacked? Or like the next day I'll walk by the mirror and be like, I look tiny. I don't even look like I fucking lift. But then I'll take a video later that day from a bit of a different angle and be like, oh fuck, I'm like ready for the Olympia. It's just like, it just never ends. You know what I mean?
It is.
Like,
It's super crazy. Because it's like, you'll take same thing, be getting out of the shower and be like, holy crap, dude, you got some work to do. And then I'm outside and working out in the gym, and it's like, dude, you look freaking great. Like, this is like, you're killing it. It's like, what the fuck? Like, literally an hour ago, I was just like,
it's fucking weird.
It sucks. It does.
It's weird. But like shit sticks with you for a long time too. You know, like when I was a young teenager, I had like a few years where I was pretty chubby, and I was definitely on pace to be obese. And like, I'm very glad that became interested in fitness and like capped that a long time ago. But even that just like 2 year span of like when I was like 14 will never ever escape me, you know. And it's like that lower bit under your belly button or whatever, it's like I know that my skin there is still a little bit looser than it would have been had I not started puberty and gotten, you know, and shit like that. If I'm going to accumulate some body fat, that's the first place it goes. And I see it more than anybody else does because I can still see it the way that I remember looking in the mirror when I was 14 and fucking hating it.
For sure.
And it's not that way anymore at all. But the brain is just a weird fucking thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what other people need to realize too. It's like the way you see yourself probably isn't the way that other people see you.
Right.
A lot of the time when you're trying to change your body, and you know, whether you're trying to lose weight or get bigger or whatever, you're probably making a lot more progress than you actually think that you are.
For sure. I can agree. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Because I know I get compliments sometimes and it's like, damn, I don't think we're looking at the same person, but I'll take the compliment, but
that's fucking bad that they felt that they had to go out of their way to just gas me up like that. Like,
exactly.
Fuck, you know,
Yeah,
it's like Jesus.
Now you're really doing that psychology work on me, man. I'm not liking it. You're going way out of your way to make me not feel good.
Exactly, right? It's comical. But
thanks, dude.
I know you got kids to take care of and stuff.
Yeah, I actually had to pee like really freaking bad. Like I finished my coffee and I was like, that was the dumbest thing I think I've done.
Like, fuck, bad timing.
Very bad time. I mean, it was
held it
delicious.
together well, man. Very, very stoic face about it.
Thanks. I've been holding it for probably like 20 minutes. Well, longer than that, but 20 minutes is where it got bad. And I'm like, this conversation's too good to stop. I'm holding out.
Fucking funny. All right, well, go relieve that, man. You'll feel much better. But thanks for reaching out, dude. This was a lot of fun. You're pretty cool guy. It's fun to talk to you.
Awesome.
Holler at me anytime.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Yeah, dude, keep doing what you're doing because I like I said, you're not an average guy. You're definitely a savage guy, but you keep it real, and I like that you're not just posting all these fake videos. So keep up the good work and just freaking crush it.
Will do. Enough said. I'm gonna go crush it in about 15 minutes.
Sounds good. All right,
brother.
Josh, I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Talk later.
All right, bye.